Isn't it
Right.
possible to make the case without using rhetoric like that?
But Donald Trump doesn't talk like someone who's been in Washington for 30 years. He doesn't
Training
say it the
guns
way
on
I
her
would have said it.
face?
No, but that's not what he said, Margaret. You guys know that. Come on. I mean, everybody knows exactly what he was saying. What he was saying is, you're so much in favor of war. Yeah, you played a piece of the soundbite.
Marco Rubio, I have no doubt, is probably going to be a very important part of the next Trump administration. If not a member of the cabinet, he's going to be a critical ally in the United States Senate. That would be the new Republican majority United States Senate. And Marco Rubio has been an incredibly effective surrogate for Donald Trump over the last several months. And yesterday, I should say, was no exception on Face the Nation. Take a look at some of the best of Marco Rubio yesterday.
Look, in the state of Michigan, we know now, and this is not me making it up, I can't believe it hasn't received more coverage, a Chinese national registered to vote and voted. And now he's being charged for doing that. But guess what? His ballot's going to count. We know at least one non-citizen's ballot is going to count in Michigan because they don't know which ballot is and they can't retrieve it. These are facts. Yeah. Now, whether that's widespread or not, I hope not. But these are things that are happening and they need to be watched at. As far as foreign adversaries, sure. I mean, Iran wants to kill Donald Trump. Iran, this has been fully documented. They are trying to kill Donald Trump. You talk about violent rhetoric. He's the only candidate in this race. And not because I wish this on anybody else, who's had not one but two assassination attempts against his life.
Right.
So, of course, we're all concerned about it.
Right. In terms of the case you talked about in Michigan, we have tracked that. The Secretary of State of that state has actually brought charges, has made that public. That individual may actually be deported. May actually be deported because there are laws in this country that punish people when they are illegal and they try to vote in federal elections. That 19-year-old is going to face some consequences.
You notice she's ignoring the point that Marco Rubio keeps repeating. She's like, yes, and the Secretary of State, they're going to prosecute. By the way, I don't know if you tracked this issue. I was in Michigan, as you know, when this story came down last week. The only reason they discovered that this non-citizen voted was because he turned himself in and admitted it, okay? It's not like there was this great investigation and they were making sure that only citizens voted. He walked up at the University of Michigan. He got his ballot. He didn't have any proof of citizenship, but they gave him a ballot anyway. He voted, and they put it in the system, and it got tabulated. So here's Brennan is up there saying, yes, and they prosecuted him, and he might get deported because that's against the law, and we got to enforce the law. And Marco Rubio keeps saying, yes, but his vote's going to count. His vote's going to count. And it's like, well, that doesn't matter, even though that's all that matters as these non-citizens are voting. It's so typical. And I'll just let this wrap up real fast.
He is, and he's going to, but his vote still counts. His vote will still be counted.
Understood.
Look, in the state of
Understood. All right, a little bit more here, though. And again, Marco Rubio doing a really good job. And Rubio takes it right to the media, because you've seen what the media has been doing for this past week. Remember how I've been saying for the last couple of months, they're going to throw everything they've got. They're going to throw everything they've got. They're going to throw everything they've got. And, we had Biden calling us all garbage. Then you have Trump show up with his green vest in the garbage truck, and it was great. It is wonderful. And then, as we noted for you on Friday, they began the lies. The entire show Friday was about these evil, despicable lies. The lies about J.D. Vance having mommy issues. Remember, that's just so gross and disgusting. And then the lies about what Donald Trump said about Liz Cheney, which was, she loves these wars. Let's give her a gun and see how she likes it, having to face down the enemy with guns trained on her. And that immediately became, Trump is saying that Liz Cheney should face a firing squad, which is an absolute and total lie, but it didn't matter. That's what the media did. And Marco Rubio used this opportunity on Face the Nation to call out CBS and all of the networks on this concerted effort to interfere and manipulate this election in the final days, because that's how desperate they are. When I said they're going to throw everything they've got at us, this is what I meant. I didn't mean just the Democrats. I meant the media, because they're all on the same team. I meant pop culture. Saturday Night Live suddenly puts Kamala Harris on 3 days before the election. You can't do that. What about equal time? Who cares? Sue us. And it's not over. Trust me. There's more to throw at us in the next 24 hours. We'll be tracking it. Here's Marco.
Well, in terms of safety and security, that soundbite a moment ago from Donald Trump talking about training guns on the face of Liz Cheney. The Trump campaign says that was about foreign policy. Well, we just played it for our viewers and listeners who heard it. Isn't it possible to make the case without using rhetoric like that?
but Donald Trump doesn't talk like someone who's been in Washington for 30 years. He doesn't
Training
say it the
guns
way I
on her
would have said it.
face?
No, but that's not what he said, Margaret. You guys know that. Come on. I mean, everybody knows exactly what he was saying. What he was saying is, you're
played
so
the
much in
soundbite.
favor of war. Yeah, you played a piece of the soundbite, because in another piece of it, he said he would give her a gun to go stand in conflict as well. You don't normally give a gun to someone that's going to be facing a firing squad, which is what much of the media made it sound like. The point he was making is not a new point. It is a point that has been made by people in both parties for decades, and that is, you're all for war, and it's easy to be for war when you're in some fancy building and you're safe and sound in Washington, D.C. Let's see how much you are for war when you yourself get deployed into combat. That's the point that he was making, that he uses language that maybe is not what we typically hear from someone that works at a think tank. Oh, fine. But I think it's truly not just unfair, it's egregious to see that reported the way that it was, along with other things that are out there. I've never seen such a concerted effort. Look, I've always believed there's bias because no one's unbiased, but I've never seen such a concerted effort like what I've seen, especially in the last 2 weeks, among multiple media outlets in this country, to, in some cases, breathlessly distort and lie about what's being said and to create and manufacture these gotcha moments against Donald Trump. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, good for him. Good stuff from Marco Rubio. By the way, Ms. Brennan there on, let's not forget, she was a moderator of a debate for the vice presidential debate. Can we please be done with these TV newscasters whose only skill set is to read a teleprompter well and look very pretty on television? Could we please stop using them as moderators for debates? Look at why does he have to use this hateful rhetoric? Could we run the clip, Kevin? I'm sure we have it, of her asking Democrats why they have to call Trump Hitler, right? Why do we have to use that hateful rhetoric, right? They're calling him Hitler. That's beyond the pale. Can we play that? Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have that clip because it doesn't exist, because she's never done such a thing and never will. Because no, that's not hateful rhetoric. That's not over the top. That's not beyond the pale, because it's about Trump. Or 8 years ago, it was about Romney, 12 years ago. And before that, it was about McCain. It's okay to say that stuff about them. That's never beyond the pale. Oh, but all right, so we go from that, which, by the way, that's the typical what we're grown used to now, right? I mean, it's a dog bites man story. Bias in the media as they rationalize lying about Donald Trump because he's an evil man, so it's okay to do it because they hate Trump. I get that. What have I been telling you? What have I been telling you for months and months and months and months now? It's not Trump they hate nearly as much as you. They have such open disdain for you. It's barely hidden, and their way of manifesting it is to go after Trump with all the vitriol. But every time they do it, it's really you. They hate you for not voting for Hillary Clinton. They hate you for not listening to them and doing what you're told, right? Because they're the experts. And they're the ones, every time one of these experts, well, that's just disqualifying. It's disqualifying. I'm sorry, who are you to disqualify a candidate? You know what's disqualifying? Somebody losing an election. Guess who's been disqualified from being president? Hillary Clinton. We disqualified her. You don't disqualify candidates. We disqualify candidates when we say, no, thank you. We don't want you in the White House. And that's what they do. Whenever they say disqualified, we disqualified this person. How dare you vote for them? Right? And they try to rig this whole game where they try to go after the candidates that actually have a viable chance of winning, and they support and prop up Republican candidates that they think. That's what they did in 2016. They thought Trump didn't have a chance, so of course they celebrated him. They had him on all the time. He wins the nomination for the Republicans, and they thought they had done this really clever thing of getting this really horrible candidate in there, and now Hillary's going to win in a cakewalk, and it just didn't go right, did it? And they'll never forgive you for it. And finally, this morning, Joe Scarborough, with his little Me Too situation with a happy ending, Mika Brzezinski. And look at that. They're actually in New York. They do their show from Florida all the time with their fake backdrop, because everything about their show is a lie, not just what they say, but even the backdrop behind them make you think they're in Washington, D.C. Well, here they are literally in New York. I guess they flew them up there, and they're tolerating New York for the election coverage. And God bless Joe Scarborough. This man is odious. He's loathsome. I don't like him in any way whatsoever, but I got to give him credit. This morning, on MSNBC, he actually finally spoke the truth. It's not about Trump. Listen to what he thinks of you. Listen to what Joe Scarborough thinks of you. 50% of this country.
I will ask the question that I think is a fair question to ask. Who raised these people?
Yeah.
Because they were not raised by anybody in my neighborhoods that I grew up, any middle-class neighborhoods that I grew up in. These people were not there. They were not raised. I mean, they weren't in the classes I went to growing up in elementary or middle or high school or college. They just weren't there. That wasn't the America I grew up in, where people would laugh at the idea of people of the press getting shot. Like everybody would like sit around and like, what's he talking about? Or again, the
laughing at the Puerto Rican
other
joke.
things, laughing at the Puerto Rican joke.
My God.
That Puerto Ricans are a pile of trash, are laughing at a 82, 83-year-old man being bludgeoned nearly to death. That's an applause line. That's a laugh line. Again, who are these people? Where are they coming from? And who raised them? And how did Donald Trump twist their point of view so much in 9 years that the brutalization of an 83-year-old man is something to laugh about, or the shooting of press members is an applause line?
Yeah, laughs and cheers when Trump suggested the press should be shot. And my friend, the legendary photographer at the AP, Evan Vucci, who's traveling with the Trump campaign here, says that as each rally goes on, particularly last night in Georgia, the threats from the crowd to the press, they're there in the arena, only growing. They're really concerned there about the security situation. And that's
All right. So you see what they're trying to do here, and they're setting up the whole thing as the threat to the First Amendment. They're getting ready for the Trump administration, by the way. Because, again, do these people seem like they're in the winner's circle right now? That they're in the lead? Do these people seem like they're in a position of victory? Or do they seem desperate and angry and bitter? And with this latest thing, trying to set up the narrative for when Trump is president again, how it's, oh, here comes Jim Acosta again, and it's a war on the First Amendment. And it's all the same story that they did in the first Trump term, and now they're setting it up for the second Trump term because they are terrified about what's going to happen tomorrow. One other thing for Joe Scarborough here saying, "Oh, this violent rhetoric about people getting." Didn't Joe Biden just this weekend in Scranton say that Trump and Vance and other Republicans are the kind of people that he'd like to smack in the ass? Remember that? I mean, he just said it like 2-3 days ago. But that doesn't make Joe Scarborough supercut. All of this horrible, violent, who are these people? Yeah. All right, Joe. Well, you know what? We know who you are, Joe. We know where you came from. We know where you are now and what you did to get there. I know you see clips like that and you just wish you could, you want to throw something at the TV. You wish you could reach through and teach this guy a lesson. And of course, we don't. We're not the violent ones. They are. They constantly the violent ones. They're the ones who throw down with Antifa and Occupy Wall Street and Black Lives Matter and rationalize arson and murder. And we know who they are. That's exactly what they do. We're not like that. I know you want to. I know you want to just smack that guy across the face. But we don't have to do that. You angry at Joe Scarborough? You're angry at Mika Brzezinski and Al Sharpton. I love that Al Sharpton is there to be the voice of reason about civility in politics, the man who created riots in New York, race riots in New York and anti-Semitic riots in New York. But now he's the elder statesman on the set of MSNBC talking about violent political rhetoric. Guys, you mad at them? You want to get even? All we got to do is win. All we got to do is win, and we are just 24 hours away from seeing that glorious montage of cable news and network news reactions to Donald Trump winning the presidency. Those great videos from 2016 that we love watching all the time. Don't get angry at Joe Scarborough or Al Sharpton or Mika Brzezinski or Rachel Maddow or Nicole Wallace or Lawrence or any of these people who are meaningless. Don't get angry. We will have the last laugh. All we got to do is hunker down, vote, and win. You know, there's a lot at stake in this upcoming election. Regardless of who's sitting in the White House, the fuse in the economy has already been lit. 4 years of a conservative presidency is probably not going to be enough to turn the tide of our $35 trillion national debt. It's going to take a few conservative presidencies to really make a difference there. And if the left wins this time around, forget about it. It's like throwing gas on an already blazing dumpster fire. You don't have a whole lot of control over the election's outcome. You're probably feeling somewhat frustrated about that. That's all right. Control what you can control. You can diversify your savings right now by investing in gold from Birch Gold. For millennia, gold has stood firm in the face of greedy governments, economic upheavals, and global strife, and it can help protect you right now. Birch Gold will help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold, and it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. In the past 4 years, the buying power of the U.S. dollar has declined while the price of gold has increased by 40%. You think that's a coincidence? Text Larry to 989898 right now. Get your free info kit on gold. Trust Birch Gold to protect your savings. Text Larry to 989898 today.